Just working on getting the live stream set up here. I think that's working now. So it's the SEC Growth Development Senior Leader Staff Meeting, January 10th, 2024, our first one of this year. Good stuff. So welcome, Samira, who's my outside shadow this week. Glad to have you here. Any initial impressions of any or observations you've noticed over the last couple of days you would like to share with the group? Or
I have tons, which I don't get into right now, but I love how the team interacts with you and how open and transparent the communications are, and how how well the team is working together. So that's been a key observation.
back as well. And your questions and your feedback I've learned from both. So next item is on the agenda. Please, for everyone, get OKR status updates completed every 2 weeks. Overall, and the reason is people look at these. There's like a monthly review that Bartek does with Jorg across all his teams. So, but it's still good to do it every 2 weeks, especially with a focus on, we decided to prioritize these. The product roadmap ones are really important, of course. So overall, how are we looking? Just kind of a broad, quote unquote, how are we looking on the OKR status for Q4, which ends at end of January, especially on the product roadmap ones?
I answered the first one there. So CA is doing well on CVS for dependency scanning. We try to estimate, it's a completely new feature. We try to estimate in terms of how many vulnerabilities we would be able to create from CVS. And the real numbers just blew us out of the water. I think we got really lucky with some high impact advisories that came late in December. And we saw tens of thousands of vulnerabilities being created when we were expecting hundreds per day. So the numbers have fallen down to what we expected, hundreds per day, but we're really happy with how it's going. And the other non-feature ones, just a bit of a mixed bag. Some we're doing okay, some we're doing not too great, but nothing worth a honorable mention or anything.
Great.
Similarly, on the static analysis side, we finished the inline security findings. The only thing left was rolling out the feature flag, or cleaning up the feature flag, which is on track for 16.8. And then with pre-received secret detection, as mentioned previously, we're feature complete. We're finalizing performance testing, and I talked to Amy Phillips today to talk about coordination for delivering it to the customer. So all good things.
Thanks, Amar. Adil, Phil, Thomas, anything like a high-level summary of where you feel you're at?
So from an OKR perspective, their status is reflected. They're updated in all of them. The two laggards are the maintenance type ones, and that's purely a capacity issue. One, we're flaking tests. We're making good progress on feature flags, less so on roadmap items. We're making great progress on those. So those should be on track. And then for FY25, I am t-shirt sizing the efforts scheduled, so those should go into priorities.yaml probably by mid-January.
Thanks, Adil.
I'm just waiting on updates from a few other EMs. We'll have that to you by the end of the week, Wayne.
Cool.
I'll continue the theme. We've got updates that are rolling in. There was a request to EMs to get everything updated by their end of day today. So there's a good bit chunk that's been updated. There are 3 that are still marked as needs attention. I'm diving into those, and we'll be continuing to dive into those tomorrow morning, or my tomorrow morning. But speaking specifically to the product priorities one that you were asking about, overall secure is at 77% of the overall objectives. So we're on track and looking pretty good for that focus.
Great.
Yeah.
And fair. Ones that I own myself are going relatively well as well. For vulnerability research in mine overall, with a focus on the product delivery ones over the other ones, but overall good stuff. So in item 3, how are hiring plans for the next fiscal year coming along? Please be sure to get Q1 planned hires listed publicly this month so that we have a good chance of filling them in the next quarter.
So the comms we had yesterday was that we're expecting to hear directly from recruiters in the next few days. They will be opening the issues directly in Greenhouse. They will be setting up the kickoff issues. So the work for us is to think about what normally would go in the kickoff issue, how we're looking to hire so that we're ready when they communicate that to us.
Related to that, chatted with Sarah Curry, who's our recruiter, yesterday. So she mentioned that she was told to expect a finalized list of open roles for Q1 next week, early next week. And that was her catalyst to start engaging with hiring managers, as well as open up kickoff issues. So I'm making sure that she has who the hiring manager is per group by Monday or Tuesday of next week, so she knows so that I'm not in the middle and being waited on. And she's going to get rolling with that as soon as she's got the final list.
Will
So
that not
currently expecting. Yeah.
Will that not come directly from the spreadsheet that's already got hiring manager listed in it? Yeah.
Her history, with me at least, has been to double check what's on those spreadsheets to make sure that it is accurate. So I want to go ahead and jump the gun.
Sounds great. It's great to also be have lots of hiring to spread out across the next year to do, which is great as we continue to grow. The 4th item. So we started doing monthly PI reviews in this meeting. We did the first one, I don't know, about a month ago, maybe a little bit more. So and please again, please Phil and Thomas prepare so we can review next time. And let's focus on outliers that you're happy about or that you're concerned about on the key metrics, which it may be you end up that is the null set, and if so, that's fine. But if there's things you want to discuss, it's a good just checkpoint. So let's do that next week. Sound reasonable? I'm seeing some smiles and thumbs up. So it went well when we did it a month ago. We stumbled. It's not the right word. We figured out how to do it the first time we did it in this meeting, and second time will be. And it went well. Then second time will be a little smoother, especially just focusing on the outliers. So Phil, I put item 5 in there as based on our one-on-one we just had a minute ago as a placeholder. So I didn't give it justice, of course. So do you want to cover that item?
Sure. There are 2 development breakout sessions at Summit. I believe one of them has an agenda. It's going to be from Jorg and others. But there's a second session which is 4 hours long. Is there anything that we want to do across, for example, across expansion? We can ask Bartek about that, across Wayne's groups collectively, or should we look at doing things at the stage or individual group level? And as Wayne also suggested, are there opportunities to do cross-stage sessions during that 4-hour period?
So one idea, and I'm not in love with this, but one idea is we do one for combined topics of interest for secure governed growth. So that could be development things. And the initiative is that we collaborate on cross stage, like right insights and security policies, maybe it's more that, and then secure specific and govern specific. Which I don't know if it makes sense to break it out that way, but like there's some things that across development and also things that secure and govern teams work on together or collaborate on. And it's not a bad thing if a team doesn't do that. Like Adil, your teams, of course, don't integrate, don't work that much with the secure teams, which is not a good thing or bad thing, just is. Umer's teams and Tiago's teams work really closely with threat insights teams, for example, and probably security policies as well. So there might be some in common things there. And then there are also secure specific things like and govern specific things like, exactly what we're doing in secret detection is probably really interesting inside secure and not that interesting in govern, perhaps. And similarly, what we're doing in authentication is really interesting in govern, but not as interesting outside of govern, maybe. So it'd be weird to break it up this way, though. That's the part I don't like. What does everybody think?
I think with 4 hours, we've got the option of doing all the things you've suggested, plus having groups go off and break out, catch up with their counterparts, etc. What's not clear to me, and I haven't done enough reading on this yet, is whether we do this at the hotel, whether we're allowed to or supposed to go out and do other things. Is it all work-related things, or is it just team-building things? And I'd really love to get more input from team members on what they want. Across governance growth, I've started asking for ideas in that issue. You're welcome to contribute to that. We can extend that and make that secure governance growth if you prefer.
Is everybody
Is
else
the
think?
right way, Wayne, is the right way to go about this to create an unconference specific for this? Because if we're relying on time that people think they have free, to do whatever they want, if maybe they want a break, maybe they want to do something else, it might be a bit imposing of us to go, hey, we're actually going to go do this thing for our team, and they might feel forced to go. So the unconference is a way to at least you lock that into the specific slots.
So maybe it's not the state, not these categories, but just you have the topics that happen to be in these categories, and people attend the ones they find of interest and not attend the ones that don't, maybe. Another way to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm not forcing these things. Like if we don't want to talk about cross-stage things, the teams that generate vulnerabilities and the teams that read them and process them and make them available in the UI, we don't have to, right? We sometimes talk about that, sometimes don't. That might be a topic we want to, but some maybe not. So the specific topics are what's more important than like these high level categories, perhaps. Does that capture what you're thinking, Tiago? Maybe. Yep.
Yes, I'll write it down here.
Good. When is Summit? Actually, I've lost track. It's in March?
Middle of March, if I remember
Middle of
correctly.
March. We got some time to plan this out between now and then, but it's good to get ahead of that as well. And we need to find out what Bartek wants to do at the expansion team level, and probably what Jorg wants to do. I don't know if Jorg wants to do anything specific as well. We'll see. Thiago, you want to verbalize number 6?
Sure. It's we all working on entering the compensation increases on Workday now based on talent assessments that we did last year. It falls to you the job of filling out the stock and equity one, and I'm just wondering if it would be helpful to you if EMs were prepared with any material you might need as you're doing that.
So thankfully, in a good way, you're ahead of me. in asking this is, I don't know yet. I'll be relying on the review, what everybody puts together for their teams, and then Phil and Thomas's review of those, and then me doing my own and, working towards budget and making sure that all happens. So we stay on budget and also, make all the right decisions. So net is, I don't know yet, but I'm glad you're asking now because the deadline due date is approaching.
It's tough. You start with the best intentions, and then when that little pointer starts going to the red, you go like you start shaving it down, and you end up with something you didn't quite want to be forced to choose. But yeah, good luck.
Yep. But thank you for asking. Because we need to. This is important stuff to get right. Usually, from past years, what happens is I have some questions, or someone upstream from me has questions, and I reach out to my direct reports to see if they know the answers, and then and then they reach out to and or the EMs directly as well because the timeframes are short. Because it's hard to, when you have a team of, let's say, 8, right, and you have a budget to hit, you don't have context of the larger budget at the stage level or at my level to help make those decisions with that context in mind. So that's the kind of thing that I do is look at it at my level, and then Bartek looks at it at his level, and Jorg looks at it at his level to make sure we're being equitable across. So like if sometimes one manager will use less of their budget than they have because they made the right decisions, that's where it is, or they will try to use more of their budget than they have, usually not much more, but a little bit more, assuming that maybe another team has gone a little under budget, right? Those are both reasonable things. And then I try to look at that at my level across. And until I get all the others, I can't do that to see where everybody else is landing either. That's part of it as well.
What I'm hearing is that we've done all the pre-work that we can, and any questions
Yes.
now will likely be ad hoc. So just
You've done all the pre-work.
stay available.
Be available for questions if they come up, which they may or may not. Great. That's everything we had in the agenda. Samira, I know I asked this when we have time at the end of at the end of meetings. Any questions or observations about what we discussed today from an outsider's perspective on how we do what we do here?
No, not on Discord.
So in normal GitLab fashion, meetings do not extend to the time allocated, but they extend to the agenda that we have, and we're done. So thanks, everybody. Cheers.